Okay, in the previous video I forgot to go over what is the boost image based on, and that's going to be the Windows PE. Alright, so this part of lab 1 is going to look at generating an Autounattend.xml file. Okay, so we're going to deploy before we can deploy the Windows, we need to install we have to go through and do the applicable settings. And then to help automate the installation in this exercise, we're going to create an Autounattend file. And then check it. Check one that's already been provided. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to right click. We need to go back to the RWDC is all we're doing. The instructions say to right click on the start button and type in the //RWDC01/software. All you're doing is copying a file. And it wants us to copy this 80K. Control C, go to this PC, Control V. We're also going to open the E drive, go into the sources, and we want to copy the install.wim. Control C, Control V. So that takes us to our first question for this particular section. What are two ways to create or modify an Autounattend.xml? You can either use a Windows System Image Manager or use a text editor such as Notepad. Move this over here. Now I'm going to go ahead and start the process. I'm going to no, I'm not. So you'll see that I'm having a problem with my internet connection. I'll pull up my adapter. I'm going to open up Network and Sharing Center. And you'll see that mine keeps on going out. It might be because of my wireless, and I'm working from home today. If I go into change adapter settings, you see I have two adapters. This one's going to be my internal. This one is my external. My external is the one that's going in and out. So because of that, I can't do the ADK. Okay, so if you have connectivity here, you can go ahead and click on the ADK. But I'm not going to be able to do it from here. So actually I have to do it from my live machine. So I'm going to go into my folders and then my software and then my Windows ADK. Delete this. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to download the files that would be downloaded onto my live machine. And there's a step in here where it asks, here it is. So we're going to download the Windows Assessment Deployment Kit for Windows for installation on a separate computer. And I'm going to click on Browse. Oops. Go to my C drive. Software. And then Windows ADK. So I'm going to put it here. And then next. Next. Accept. So I'm going to pause the video while this does its download, and then I'll resume as soon as this is done, because we need to do another step. So we can continue through this lab. Okay, so that's done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy my Windows ADK folder, which is where I performed the installation at. I'm sorry, the download. I'm going to do Control C. And I'm going to copy this first to my domain controller. I'll go ahead and pause while this is copying. It shouldn't take too long. Okay, so my copying is done. Go back to server 1. Go to my domain controller from server 1. There we go. And now I'm just going to copy this Windows ADK setup, this Windows ADK file folder. Copy this PC. Again, I'm on server 1. Software. Control V. And I'll pause while this does its copy. Okay, so now that I've got my Windows ADK folder here, I'm going to run my ADK setup from my server 1. And now we're back to that step 4 in that exercise 1.3. I just had to do those extra steps because I was having issues with the connectivity. So we want to install the Windows Assessment Deployment Kit. That's fine. We're going to go ahead and click on Next. Next. Accept. We're going to unselect these. And then, install. So, since it's not able to download, we're now going to click on Locate Content. And see, it's already trying to find where it is. So I'm going to click on Browse. And C drive. I'm going to my C. And then my software. I'm going to click on my Windows ADK. And then open. Patches. Open. So it's looking for this toolkit. Open. And then go ahead and do a retry. And now it's going to go ahead and do its installation. While that's doing that, we can easily go here and create the other folder we need to create. So I'm on the root, and I want to create a new folder. New folder, distfold, enter. Again, this lab should take us a total of about 20 minutes. And I'm only about 8 minutes in of actual recording time. Okay, I'll go ahead and close this, and we'll just wait for this to finish. Now, as we walk through creating the unattend, we're actually going to walk through each step, and those steps are designed to configure each prompt during the installation process. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on close. Now, the instructions in the lab manual say to click on the start button. Come on. And then the down arrow, just so you can find the Windows System Image Manager. And really, it's just a whole lot easier. Click on right click, search, Windows System Image, and there it is. Alright, now this has a lot of steps. I don't need that much from there. And it's important to understand what each of these sections or groups is. This is going to be the distribution share. This is what we're going to create. These are going to be the images, Windows images that we're going to be working with and adding to an answer file. And then these are going to be the properties that we have to configure within that answer file. So we're going to get started. We're going to click on Tools and then Create Distribution Share. And then we're going to click on this PC and C drive and select our dist fold. That's that folder we just created. Click on Open. So this is where everything's going to get stored. Now we're going to click on File, select Windows Image, and then we're going to go to Software, Software, and then install.wim, and then Open. And again, we want to select that Server 2012 R2 Server Standard, and then go ahead and do OK. And then go ahead and click on Yes. And this may take a few minutes. While this is going on, I'm going to go ahead and open up the lab manual that I have and navigate to that page. Because some of these, when we get into doing the properties, oops, wrong one. I'm going to zoom in. And just a little bit more. Alright, let's see where we're at. We're still installing. Basically, once it's done, it's going to populate this area right here. There's going to be a lot of different files. And once it's done, you're going to see all these on there. Zoom in a little bit more. There we go. So you'll see how this will become populated, and then this will become populated, and then we're going to have to make adjustments for settings. I'm going to go ahead and click on pause for now while we wait for these components to get updated. Okay, so now if we expand the components, we'll see all the different components here. Well, the first thing we want to do is go down to Windows International Core PE. It's this one right here. And then we're going to right click. Oops, I think it's still thinking. Windows International Core WinPE. And I find sometimes it takes just a few minutes. Okay, so I missed a step. Now we have to go into File, New Answer File. Now we should be able to add it. And now we're going to go to that Windows International Core PE. There we go. Right click. See how it's dark now? Okay, add setting to Pass 1 Windows PE. Now this particular component specifies the default language, including your like your time, any international settings that are going to be used during the Windows setup or the Windows Deployment Services installation. Now over here in the answer file, we have the component already selected. We want to complete the language settings. So I'm going to pull this up so you guys can see it a little bit easier in the book. See if I can zoom in a little bit more. So this is what we're modifying. We're modifying the input local, system local, UI language, and user local. So here we're going to type in en underscore, no, it's a dash, us. And then this one is going to be en us. This one's going to be en us. And then this one is en us. Now we're going to expand this component to the setup UI language and go over here to the UI language and type in en us. The Microsoft Windows Setup component contains the settings that are going to enable you to select the Windows image that you want to install, configure the disk you install Windows to, and then configure the Windows PE operating system. So now we're going to go back over to the Windows image pane, and we want to find Windows Setup. Okay, so now we're going to scroll down to Windows Setup, this component right here, and right click, and we're going to add setting to pass 1, Windows PE. Go over to our answer file pane, and you'll see it's already selected. And we want to expand it, and then go down to disk configuration, right click, insert new disk. And then we're going to right click, create partition. Oops, open that up. Right click, insert new, create partition. And we want to specify an order of 1 over here, and then a size of 350. And then the type is going to be primary. Okay, now we're going to right click on create partition, insert new create partition, and this one we're going to change the extend property to true, and then set order to 2. Alright, now we're going to go back over to the answer file pane, and then click on disk, and change disk ID to 0. And then change will wipe disk to true. Now we're going to right click modify partitions over here, insert new modify partition, and then we're going to specify active is true, format is going to be NTFS, label is boot, order is 1, partition ID is 1. Now we're going to add a second modify partition, so right click, insert new modify partition. Here we're going to do format as NTFS. Label is system. Order number is 2. Partition ID is 2. And then on the answer file pane, we're going to scroll down and expand the image install. Which is right here. And then expand the OS image. And then right click, install from, insert new metadata. Okay, this is another one I'm going to have to refer back to my electronic lab manual because it's really challenging to see it in the actual textbook. So I need to go to page 11. So this is what we're putting on here, /image/name. And then value is Windows Server 2012 R2 Server Standard. We're going to click on the install to, and under disk ID we're going to give that a 0. Partition ID is 2. In the answer file pane, we're going to click on user data. Accept ULA. True. Full name is student. Organization is classroom. And here's if you have a product key you want to use, this is where you would enter in your product key. But we're not going to do that for the purposes of this lab. Windows Microsoft Shell setup contains elements and settings that control how the shell of the Windows operating system is installed on a destination computer. Now we're going to go back to the Windows image pane and go down and click on the Windows Shell setup, which is right here. And then right click, and we're going to add this to pass 4, specialize. And I'm going to scroll this one down. There we go, and I'm going to expand this. Here you can also enter the product key if you want to. For purposes of this lab, we're going to leave it blank for now. Alright, so I'm going to minimize that. Now let's go back into the Windows image pane, and this time we're going to click on Windows Shell Setup, which is this one, and right click, and we're going to add settings to pass 7, OOBE. And now we're going to configure the settings for registered organization, which is right here. It's going to be classroom. Windows user is just going to be student. And then we're going to click on File, Save Answer File. We're going to browse the software folder. file name, we're going to type in Autounattend temp and then save. Okay, now according to the lab manual, this is where you would take another screenshot. Actually, I wanted you to get a file, save answer file as. It actually wants you to get a screenshot of this. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to click on File and close answer file. And then we're going to click on Open, File, Open Answer File. And I forgot to copy over the Autounattend. It's not in here. The Autounattend I have under the domain controller, so let me do network. Cancel. Minimize this. Go here. Go to network. There's my Autounattend. Control C. Go to my root directory, software. Control V. Okay. Now if I open up this and click on File, Open Answer File, I'm going to go ahead and select my Autounattend. This was actually a file that was part of the lab setup guide to download from the Wiley site. And then open. Yes. Now we're going to go ahead and click on Tools. And then validate answer file. And again, you're going to take another screenshot for here. If you're following the lab, this would be step 44, so take a screenshot. Alright, in the answer file pane, we're going to expand. We already have all this expanded. You'll see we have both of those. So we're going to go ahead and close the Windows System Image Manager. Yes. And then open the software folder. And then we're going to right-click the Autounattend and then open with Notepad. And you can scroll through and look at all the different things that we've had to configure. Alright, and that's the end of this exercise. Question 6 was, you downloaded an Autounattend.xml file from the internet and made some changes. What is the best way to validate this file? Let me pull up my Word document. And that's going to be to use Windows System Image Manager. Alright, so that concludes this exercise of the lab. I'll see you on the next video.